Hello, good day, my lovely students. Hope you're all still doing fine and great. Now we'll be having science, and today in science we're learning about a very interesting topic. And our topic for today is what? Matter. Now, matter is anything that has weight and can occupy space. Anything that takes up space is what is matter. Now, matter is everything that we come across in life, like the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, cool drinks you take, and even people are examples of matter. Matter is anything and everything around us. Now, take a good look around yourself. Take a good look around the environment that you're in. I want you to look at everything. Anything you see around you is what is matter, because it occupies space and it has weight. Now, your television is what matter. The chair you're sitting on is matter. The bed you lie on is matter. Even the air you breathe is matter. Those drinks that you take is what matter. The clothes that you're putting on right now is what matter. So this is simply makes us understand that matter is what everything and anything around us. Now, there are different types of matter which can be described by their masses. Different types of matter can be described by their masses. Now, for example, a bowling ball and a beach ball. Now, a bowling ball has a different mass from that of what a beach ball. Now, the mass of an object is the amount of material that makes up the object. Now, if you've seen a bowling ball before, or you've seen it in movies, you'll find out that a bowling ball is what very heavy. It is heavy to lift compared to a beach ball. A beach ball is very light because it has what? It has smaller amount of material in it than that of what a bowling ball. A bowling ball has what? Has larger amount of material in it. So this shows that different types of matter can be described by their masses. Now, let's look at more facts about matter. Now, matter exists in several forms, and these forms are called states of matter. Now, take note, matter exists in several forms, in different forms, and these forms are called states of matter. Now, the three most familiar states of matter are, we have the solid state, we have the liquid state, and we have the gaseous state. I want you to make sure you remember this. We have the solid state, we have the liquid state, and we'll have the gaseous state. Now let's go over and learn about these three states of matter. Firstly, let's look at the solid state. Now, solids are objects that keep their own shape and do not flow in a given temperature. Any object that keeps its own shape and do not flow at a given temperature is what? Exists in a solid state. Now, for example, we have ice. Ice takes a solid shape, but when ice is heated, it converts or changes to liquid. But ice stays in a solid shape, and when it's in a solid shape, it retains its own shape. Now, we have other examples of objects that would exist in a solid shape. We have cars, we have books, we have clothes, televisions. Lots of things exist in solid shape. These are just few examples. Anything that has its own shape exists in the solid state of matter. Now, solids can be different colors and textures, and they can be turned into different shapes. Solids are made up of molecules which group together and don't move around. Now, the reason why solids have their own shape is because they are made up of molecules which group together, and these molecules do not move around. These molecules have a bond that holds them together. So that is what for the solid state of matter. Now let's look at matter in its liquid state. Liquids do not have their own shape, but they can take the shape of the container they are in, and they can flow at a given temperature. Now, liquid matters that exist in liquid forms do not have their own shape. Instead, they take the shape of the containers that they are in, and they can flow at a given temperature. Now, for example, we have water. Water exists in a liquid state. Now, water does not have its own shape, but it takes the shape of any container that you place it in. Now, I want you to try this experiment at home by yourself. Get water, turn it into different containers. You can turn it into a bottle, then you turn some into a plate. You find that when you turn water into different containers, it does not retain one shape. Instead, it takes the shape of the container that you pour it in. If you pour it into a bottle, it takes the shape of a bottle. If you pour it into a plate, it takes the shape of a plate. That is because liquids do not have their own shapes. So matters that exist in liquid forms takes the shape of whatever container that they are being poured in. Now, examples of liquid, aside from water, you have tea. Tea is an example of liquid when you make tea. Blood is a liquid substance. So anything that is liquid, anything that takes the shape of a container when it's poured in is what is known as matter in its liquid form. Now, they can be different colors and thickness. They can be different colors and thickness. This liquid can be different colors and thickness. For example, if you make a custard, the thickness of a custard is different from the thickness of a tea. A tea is lighter than a custard, but they both exist in liquid forms, but their thickness is different. Now, a tea flows faster than a custard because it is lighter than a custard. So when matters exist in their liquid forms, they can flow under any given temperature, and they can have different thicknesses. Liquid matters can have different thicknesses. So that's all for liquid states of matter. Now let's go over to the gaseous states of matter. Now, gases are air-like substances that can move around freely or flow to fit a container, and they don't have their own shapes. Now, gases are air-like substances. They can move around freely. They are not bound to one position. They move around freely in the air. They flow. At times they can flow and fit into a container. You can trap them in a container. But the minute you open up that container, they spread out easily because they have molecules that move around in the air. Now, if you put your hand through gases, you will not feel them because gases they flow around. They flow around air. Examples of gases we have oxygen. Oxygen is an example of gas. We breathe in oxygen. Oxygen flows around in the air. You can't see oxygen. You can't see gases. So, matters also exist in this gaseous state. So, anything that flows around freely in the air is known as it's matter in its gaseous state. And we are surrounded by different gases in the air we breathe. We have different gases in the air we breathe. Now let's look at some facts about matter. Do you know that matter can change from one state to another? Matter changes from one state to another. And this happens when a substance is either cooled or heated to a particular point. So this means that matter can change from a solid to a liquid state, from a liquid to a gaseous state, from a liquid to a solid state, and from gaseous to solid state. That means matter can change when it's being cooled or heated. Now, for example, if you heat up a liquid, it turns into what? Into a water vapor, and a water vapor is a gas. So a liquid can turn from, or water can turn from liquids to what? A gaseous state. Now you can try this experiment with your parents' permission and with somebody there to supervise you. You can try this. You can put water in a kettle, then you place it on a gas. Allow it, turn on your gas and allow the water boil. You'll find that the longer time it takes, the more you leave the water on the fire, the more the water boils. You find that the gaseous substances comes out through your kettle. Now if you leave it there for a long time, all of the water can disappear and turn into gas. So that is matter changing from a liquid state towards a gaseous state. And the point at which a liquid, or the temperature at which a liquid turns into a gas, is called its boiling point. I want you to take note of that. The temperature at which a liquid turns into a gas is called its boiling point. So when a liquid attains its boiling point, it turns into a gas. Now, the water vapor will change back into liquid when it is cooled. Now, those water vapor that evaporates out, some of them goes to the cloud and stores there, and when it is being cooled, it changes back into liquid and comes back to us as water. So when a water vapor is cooled, it can change into liquid, and when it is cooled enough, when you cool a water vapor enough, it could freeze and become a solid. Now, for example, you can try this. After boiling your water, when water is boiled, you can put it in a container and place it in your freezer. Leave it for a little bit of time, and you'll find out that it changes from that state to a solid state, and it takes its own shape. It forms its own shape. So when water is cooled enough, when the vapor is cooled enough, the water will freeze and become a solid. Now, the temperature at which a liquid becomes a solid is called its freezing point. Take note, the temperature at which a liquid becomes a solid is called its freezing point. Now, a liquid becomes a solid when the temperature reaches 0 degrees Celsius. When it is cooled to 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit, a liquid becomes a solid. Now, that same temperature can be the melting point if the temperature is increasing and causes a solid to become a liquid. And the melting point for ice is the same temperature. The melting point for ice is the same temperature. Different types of matter have different boiling, melting, and freezing points. Different types of matter have different boiling, melting, and freezing points. Now you can see a picture here. This picture shows matter in its solid state, that's the ice, in its liquid state, and in its gaseous state. So water can change from solid to liquid state when it melts. Then it can change from liquid to gaseous state when it reaches its boiling point. So I hope now you can see that matter can change from one state to another. Now, lastly, let's look at the properties of matter. Now, matter has the physical properties and the chemical properties. When you say physical property, it is what a property that a person can measure without changing the matter. You can measure the physical property of a matter without changing the matter. All matters have physical properties. Examples of physical properties, we have color, amount, density, temperature, etc. These are examples of physical properties. All matters have physical properties. Take note. Now we also have chemical properties. Now, a chemical property tells how matter will change under special conditions. Now, when matter is subjected to special conditions, its chemical property tells how that matter will change. All matter has chemical properties. For example, certain metals turn to rust if they sit out in the rain. Now, if you place metals in the rain, if water is poured on a metal constantly, those metals can rust. Now that is a change in the chemical state of a matter. And also, for example, if you have paper and wood burnt to ashes when they touch a flame. Now, paper and wood can burn to ashes when they touch a flame. Now, this is the change in their properties when they are under special conditions. Now, burning and rusting are called chemical reactions. Chemical reactions change matters into new types of matters. So, matter has chemical properties, and chemical reactions change matters into new types of matters. So these are the two properties of matters that you can look out for: the physical and the chemical property. And for today, this is all we'll be doing. I hope you enjoyed the class. I hope you know what matter is. You know the states of matter. You know that matter can change from one state to another, and you know that matter has both physical and chemical properties. And the class will be ending here. I want you to find time to carry out those experiments I told you about, like boiling water to get to its boiling point and freezing a liquid to get solid. So these are states of matter. So we'll be ending our class here. I want you to enjoy the rest of your day.